How's it going?
It's going.
Good.
It gets so dark early, it feels like it's midnight.
Yeah, it really does feel like that. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hey. I hope he remembers us.
Well, it'd be interesting if they didn't.
Well, last week he forgot us, so.
Turn my volume up. There we go.
So I was looking at this assignment again last night, and it looks like the PowerPoint is basically what we've already done, mostly as far as like explaining the program and a little history and all of that. But what I have questions about is the data.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys looked at the assignment details of this part yet?
Yeah, I did. I looked at it, and I would say I'm lost as well.
Yeah.
About that.
Like I think that a lot of the PowerPoint is what we already did as far as, like I said, yeah, like history of the program, what the program is meant to be, like the other, it's just a summary of what the other assignments were.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't print that one off. I'll have to pull it back up. But yeah. And then, so I think that part will be relatively easy to do on a PowerPoint. Then I just wonder, like, if the data that we have collected from Brittany already is enough, or what if we need to be doing more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a nice chart she has on there.
Well, yeah.
I was looking over that.
She's pretty OCD, and that's what I love about her. So she did all of our data for us.
That's
when we hired
amazing.
her, she loved it, and so we put her in charge of that. So I was pretty confident that she would have all of this. So the top sections is all pretty much the discharge survey information. So I don't know if we need to include that or not, because we basically talked about the PHQ-9 stuff in our other assignments.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom to like that 5J talks about the admission and discharge PHQ-9 data.
Which is a little different, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah. So it just shows what their PHQ-9 score was on admission as opposed to discharge, which obviously the hypothesis is that their depression symptoms would be less at discharge, which it obviously shows that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my biggest question. Like, is that really all we have to report, or are we supposed to be doing more than that? Because didn't we say our hypothesis was pretty basic, right? Just that we thought, I got to pull that up. Basically, just that we thought that the discharge, hold on. I have too much stuff pulled up at one time. I can't find anything.
That's what I have a ton of tabs open. I was just like clicking out of them.
Oh, wait, maybe I got to go to Google Docs because I don't think this was the final thing because I didn't hand that in. Hold on. Un momento. I'm going to email him and remind him because now I'm nervous.
Okay.
Are you looking at the assignment for?
Yeah, what was our hypothesis? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
No.
Okay, so it says looking at post-test, clients who participated in the program will have decreased symptoms of depression. And looking at post-test, clients who participated in the program will have increased understanding of their medications.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we can use all that data.
Yeah, because it just says post-test. I mean, we didn't really specify, which I'm not sure if we'll have to, whether or not those post-tests are from the PHQ-9 or the questionnaire. Wasn't there two different ones, or is it all from the PHQ-9?
Hang on, I'm emailing him to remind him to come. He just emailed me like the other day to say he'd be on, so. Okay, so yeah,
Like we did a survey and then the PHQ-9, right? Or
okay, yes,
all this stuff?
so the survey, one of the survey questions asks about education management. And so on the data, on the Google Doc that I sent you guys yesterday, question 5I talks about that data shows whether or not they felt more comfortable with their data or with their medication management.
Okay.
So
is this post or like upon discharge?
yes, it's the discharge summary. The question is, were you educated on medication management? And the question, and it's yes.
A lot of them said yes, huh? Across the board.
Yeah.
Strikingly.
So I think that you can, yeah, that's one of the first things they do on admission, and then it's part of their care plan, and then they go over it again at discharge. So it's like,
Probably
yeah.
helps to have it 2 different times.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping that the data she gave us for those 2 hypotheses, we can just pull right off of this chart.
Yeah, that would be nice. And this is over an entire year.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know why she has those 3 months highlighted, but yeah, we could use the data for the whole year. There's no reason we couldn't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now I have you down. I can't find you. Hold on. Has anybody heard what actually happened to Mackenzie?
Mm-mm.
No.
I think it's weird that we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, so like on evaluation 5, when it talks about the presentation, we're supposed to put it in a PowerPoint. Although I didn't understand, did you see the announcement that came out from, what's her name, Toby?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
At assignment 5.
Canopto is, do you?
Say that again.
The video presentation, you need to make your video presentation.
Might
Yeah,
be
I
a
saw that. I
different
wasn't aware we
one.
had to do that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Josh, are you like tech savvy? Computers?
Video.
Nope.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at like when I printed out the assignment evaluation, under assignment details, it says evaluation background, present the background of the agency, present the identified program, which we did in assignment 1, so we could that would be easy. We already have that information. Part 2 is evaluation method, which is evaluation questions and hypothesis, how you measured it, and your analytical strategy, which was assignment 2, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the results, like demographics, evaluation hypothesis. Like, I think we've basically done all of that in the other assignments. This is just putting it together in a PowerPoint presentation and then figuring out whatever this Panapto or whatever it is.
That video thing.
Are you guys reading that the way I read it? I feel like that I'm making it easier than it really is.
I think that's what it says, and it sounds like not all of our information is going to be on that video recording either. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just a chunk of it, I guess.
So then, yeah, and so then if all we have to do is report the data, I really think what she's given us is enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's very detailed, and I mean, I can't think that it's.
And then is
I
it
need
bad
more
that
than
part of
that.
me's calculating in my head how many points I have to actually lose before I still have a good grade? Because I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, that's always a fun little equation. You're like, okay, what can I do?
How many
And not do
points
sometimes.
do I actually have to get and I can still pass?
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes it takes the stress off to do that, honestly. Even if you end up getting the entire points, it's just this idea that you figured it. And
Even if I fail, I
yeah,
will pass the class.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize about the video thing either until I'd seen that update when she posted it there the other day. I feel like they have us use so many different programs.
I
And
know.
like
I
nobody
kinda
ever
wish
seems
they
to
were
think.
all, like, together, like on the programs to use.
They streamline those programs.
So Josh, this is what happened last time when you weren't able to be on, is we sat here for 30 minutes and waited for a professor to jump on and they never did.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So we
You
may
missed out on a good time.
He picked the time. I let him pick this time. I said they should just like be like, you're done. The semester's over. Never mind.
That would be great.
Yeah, if he misses this, maybe he'll just like exempt us from our final presentation. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be great.
So what is, I know we don't really kind of know what we're doing, but what is everybody's schedules like for the rest of the semester? So I have a paper due this weekend, and then I have a test due. The rest of my semester isn't terrible, to be honest with you. I would kind of like to be done at some point. Like, I mean, so I can work on stuff whenever. Does anybody have any, like, preference of the parts you want to work on? Do we want to, do we want to try to give assignments and then get back together, you know, in a couple, like after Thanksgiving to see how things are going? I guess this is due the 6th, right?
Yeah.
I know I
Yeah.
could take like whatever part or whatever that I need to take and stuff, and I can work on it during like Thanksgiving
Yeah.
week is kind of what I am thinking for my own self anyway. I've got a couple assignments that are due this coming week, and then I've got a big paper to write, and that's due like the 6th or something. But so I think for myself, I think over Thanksgiving I could probably really work on this particular paper.
Same here.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a
Thanksgiving
paper.
break's kind of when that.
Yep. Sorry, Josh, I interrupted.
I'll say Thanksgiving's the time I can probably do stuff. So Sunday I have something due, but after that it looks kind of, my planner is looking kind of blank until the last week.
Okay. Yeah, I have a paper due on Sunday this week, but it won't be terrible. And then I don't have anything due until this, and then I have a test on the 8th. And other than that, I don't have a ton due. So do we want to maybe divvy out sections, since there's kind of
I think that's a good idea.
4 different sections, and then we could like over Thanksgiving work out at least the rough drafts of each section and then get back together and look at them.
Yeah.
And help each other out if we need to, and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Does anybody have a section they necessarily want to do or have a big desire to do, or a section they don't want to do?
I probably better not do anything that's stacked towards the very end, because I'm not really sure I can write my other paper with that. So if it's something like the recording, I don't know as if necessarily I could, if that's our very last thing that we do to wrap up everything, I could work on it, but I'm not really sure how that would work.
You don't want to be in charge of submitting it?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, that might not work very well for me,
Okay.
but I can do whatever other part. I don't have a preference really.
Did y'all see the announcement where she like had this graph and talked about like the hypothesis and
For like assignment 5,
uh-huh.
yeah, I didn't really get what she was like. I mean, I saw it, but I guess I wasn't really understanding what she was talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, that
was
is
the
part of our
question
assignment.
that I came with for like the professor as to like pertaining to like what that is and if that's like something new we have to create.
Well, and that's what, then I was like, well, is that, I mean, in assignment 4, didn't we kind of do something like that?
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure if those are the same thing or not.
And then
Maybe
I thought maybe she like mislabeled it, but then I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of took that as the graph we kind of already did.
okay.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking too. That's a good question though, because if it's a whole different thing, it looks very similar.
I'm just pulling up the assignments and like stuff for 5. So okay, so question, are we like putting this all in PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'm reading this. It looks like you do it in PowerPoint, and then once it's completed, you have to convert it to this video presentation. I'm reading, sorry. So do we have to do like a spoken video presentation along with the PowerPoint?
I think there's a spoken part in there, like 10 minutes or something. I think that's what it said.
Step 2.
I feel like I'm gonna have to YouTube this program.
Does anybody know who this Toby gal is?
No, but when I was at that conference, I know some of the other people have her as their, like, she's their McKinsey, and they said they were having a really hard time understanding what to do, even before this, you know.
Mm-hmm. Because I wonder if there's like an option for using like a different program that we're all familiar with rather than like just this.
I don't know. I'm going to go to the syllabus and see, because I don't. Do you guys know anybody that's in the other cohort that has maybe worked on this already, that knows what they're doing?
I don't.
Mm-mm.
I guess what do we do from here if we don't, do we want to type up a list of questions for Professor Thompson, try to reschedule again, see if, I mean, I don't know what to do from here.
I think, here's my opinion, unless we just want a face-to-face, I think we should type up a list of questions because maybe face-to-face isn't really working for them or something.
Yeah, we could probably just type one up now, kind of come up with what questions we've got so far so we can continue, I think, on our own. I think that would be best, at least so we can move forward rather than just kind of like waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really finding anything in the syllabus or the assignment details that specifically says that we have a PowerPoint and a recorded for like what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like it alludes to that, but it isn't specific.
I found something that's like the guidelines for assignment 5, and it looks like this is like the presentation is assignment 5.
Oh.
So it's just like putting all of our information together.
Yeah.
But then what's the difference between uploading the PowerPoint and uploading the video presentation? That's where
I
I'm
think so like kind of like they do our lectures, like the lecture kind of goes on like with the slides. So maybe it's not like a video, but it's like an audio, like of our voices talking about our data as the screen is showing what our PowerPoint is.
So we do have to do something verbal along with what we're saying.
So like a voice thread or something?
Gosh, I wish you would just log on right now. Oh, brother.
It's frustrating.
I was trying to pull that program up.
This question's probably, I don't know if I'm just have missed it, but does Google Docs have an option for like a shared PowerPoint? Or how are we going to merge all of this together? They do? Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I found that out last semester. That was, yes. I did not know that.
What'd you say?
I can send.
Okay, so I would say let's type up a list of questions to send him. And then let's at least make assignments for the PowerPoint part so we could get started on that. And then we can get back together about the voice thread. What do you think about that?
Okay.
That's good.
All right, so would someone be able to make the PowerPoint in Google Docs and share it? I'm not seeing.
I can do that.
Okay. I don't know where. Okay.
If I can't do it on my Mac, I have it on my work computer, and it's pretty easy to do. So I can do it on my work computer and share it that way if I can't do it here. Sometimes my Mac doesn't play well with others, so I can do it at work if it won't let me do it here. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll try to get it done by the weekend, if not on the weekend. I can do the
Okay.
background information. I can do section 1 for sure. I can help with whatever section since I know a lot about that. And then I can help with the data part too, whoever does that part when we get to that point, when we know what we're doing. So does anybody else have a?
I don't have the criteria pulled up in front of me.
So assignment 5, so section 1 is evaluate the background. It's 8 points, and it's briefly present background of the agency and present the identified program, which I can do that. And then section 2 is evaluation method. It's like our hypothesis, how we chose to measure, and the analytical strategy. So I think that's going to be like the survey and the hypothesis and the PHQ-9 and stuff like that, do you think?
Yeah, are you looking at this on the syllabus?
I'm looking at assignment 5 details.
Oh,
Under, yep.
Okay. Go.
let me get on the same page so I can follow you.
Yeah, so I was looking for that.
I printed it off, so let me go see if I can find where I found it online. Yeah, so if you go to assignments, assignment 5, and then online assignment guides, there's a downloadable document.
Okay. I can work on the evaluation method. I just might need help with like the statistical analysis.
Yeah, I think if we just got like the
The
bones of it done, you know what I mean? And then we can all pull back together and work on the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now where are we? We're on what number? I just found the document.
I'm going to do section 1.
Okay.
Quinlan can do section 2.
Okay.
I mean, we can all work on all of it, but.
I don't mind to work on 3 or
Okay.
however the results, maybe more.
Okay, I can, I guess, do number 4 then. 5 and 6 are just kind of like
Right.
after we submit it, I guess.
Okay. And you're really good at proofreading too, Josh, so you can kind of go through all of our stuff too and add to whatever you think needs to be added.
Okay.
You're good at making things sound fancy and.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say.
Oh.
Hey, you guys.
Hey.
I'm so sorry. I had you down at 7:30, and then I just saw your email. I super apologize.
That's okay.
That's all right. We kind of got a game plan moving forward. So actually, we've kind of, yeah. So
Okay.
you're in time for questions, though.
Okay. Perfect. That's what I'm here for. Okay, what's up?
So I think our main question is like how much data, because we have data. I think we figured all that out. And we already have a bunch of data, but we've been worried because all the modules and all the assignments for these coming last weeks have kept saying, collect your data, collect your data, collect your data. But we feel like we have our data.
Okay.
So we are concerned that maybe we don't have our data. I mean, is there such a thing as having what we need already?
Sure.
Okay.
What you have, I think I would need to see it. So when we met before, I think if I remember correctly, you remind me your research question, please.
So we haven't met before. This is our first time.
You haven't met before. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got to tell you guys, I got kind of thrown into this whole thing at the tailspin. But we'll work through this. So, so let's talk about your research question first.
Sorry, don't mind the cat.
That's all right. I got a kid running around somewhere.
So our program it's Turning Point Crisis Stabilization Program. It's a short-term mental health crisis house.
Okay.
And their length of stay is a 3 to 5 bed stay, or 3 to 5 day stay for someone having a mental health crisis.
Okay.
So our question, and Quinlan can help me because she just had it pulled up, but the gist of it was that their symptoms of depression will reduce after going through the program, and they will have a better understanding. That's the first hypothesis. And then the second one is they'll have a better understanding of their medications at discharge.
Yeah, okay. So sounds like you have some sort of symptom scale that you're going to evaluate.
Yep, we have admission PHQ-9 scores and discharge PHQ-9 scores for the depression.
All right, that's awesome. Okay.
And then for the medication, that's part of their discharge survey, is they ask about medications.
So yeah, post-test only.
Yes.
And so with your second research question, you suggest that you want to evaluate the question of that they'll have a better understanding of their medications. Correct?
Yes. And the question on their survey is, were you educated on your medication?
Okay. And what's the rating scale?
It's just yes or no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that one's might be a little tough, but we can talk about that in a second. Okay. So your analysis. So it sounds like you know what kind of analysis test you'll be using. I'm asking you. I know, but I'm I'm asking you if you guys have an idea about what you'll be doing.
I don't know that we do. We've been kind of lost. I mean, we have the data and we know the program, and that's about as far as we've gotten.
Where's do you have the data physically with you now?
Yeah.
Is it in a spreadsheet format or?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you send it to my email? It's thompsona@missouri.edu, and we can take a look. I can take a look at it and then help you guys with what your analysis strategy is.
So there's going to be other questions on there because we did all of the questions from the discharge survey. So you'll just need the bottom 2 questions. The top ones you don't care about, but.
Perfect.
And I'm kind of bossy, so I do a lot of the talking, so they can tell me to shut up when they want to. Just so you know.
Well.
So tell me to shut up when you want me to, and they can speak.
No problem. Let me just say, first of all, man, I'm really sorry that this curveball got thrown to you all, this late in the semester with this class. It's challenging enough that learning in the format you're learning in, and the content too. So I'm really sorry that this happened, but we'll just make sure that our goal is going to be to get through this successfully. Okay, so are you sending it through Canvas?
Yep. I'm getting it. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. It makes me type. Hold on.
I know.
Okay, it's coming.
Cool. Okay, here you got it. All right. So it's in a Word format.
Oh, do you want me to save it as something else and send it to you?
Well, no, that's okay. Okay, so these are counts by month of. Let me just look at this for a second. Okay. So you have number of clients and then they gave you the mean scores by month for 2018.
Yeah, and she has more current data if I want it. I just had her give me a whole year's worth just so we had, because they're,
This is great.
yeah.
So I think what we need to do is we need to put this in a format that we can run a statistical test.
Okay.
And so because you have don't have individual client level scores, but we have averages for the month, right? For example, in July, we have an admission average PHQ score of 16.9 for 24 people. If I understand the data correct, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And then their discharge score for those 24 people after, did you say a 5-day, 3 to 5
Yeah,
days? Yeah,
it's 3 to 5 days average.
is a 9.75.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we're doing is a paired samples t-test, and here's what I will do. Well, there's some videos for data analysis strategies for various data on Canvas, and you're more than welcome to watch those. Or we can cut straight to the chase, and I can show you how to do this in Excel right now.
Okay.
Okay, so all right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up. Let's see. I'm going to do a mock data and share a screen with you on Excel. How comfortable are you all with Excel?
Not.
Little bit.
Okay, be honest, man. Okay. No problem. By the time we're done here, I'll make sure you'll know how to run this procedure. So I'm gonna open up a Excel document. And what I will do is I'm going to show you a few things with Excel, and I'm going to write down each of the. I already have these steps written down in a Word document, and then after our meeting, I'll send you the Word document that kind of outlines how to do this. Okay. No, I don't want to record it. Okay. Can you see an Excel sheet? No, you can't. You see an Excel sheet now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so just a blank sheet, and then what you'll need to do is take your data, and you'll enter in, let's say, your pre-test scores, and in a second column, you'll want to enter your post-test scores, and if you want to, just to keep things straight, you can enter in a column of the months. And so we'd have January, February, so on and so forth. And Excel sometimes is pretty smart. Aha, I figured it out. So let's say I'm just going to make some stuff up here, okay, for demonstration purposes.
Okay.
Let's say you guys got to head out of here for now. Have dressed kids running around here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say we've got January's average for the 24 clients. I don't know what it is. Let's say it was just, I'm making up a number, 16.9, and their discharge was let's say a 10. And then for February, we're going to say 12. I think that just judging from those scores, they definitely look like the admissions PHQ was higher than most following months.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just gonna grab these and we'll see wonder what Excel will do with this. If I just all right, let's just make up some data here. Excel can be kind of fun because you can actually do like a random between command like this. And then you can say, I want a number between 1 and 20. And it'll just give you a random number, and then you can just drag that down. It'll make a whole bunch of them up. But anyway, it's pretty user friendly, and all it takes is a little bit of Google time to figure out anything that you want to do. So what I've got here is just pre-test and post-test by month. They're organized in columns next to each other, and I'm going to send you some directions on this, but I'm also going to walk you through this step. What you need to do some data analysis here is what's called a data analysis tool pack. On the Excel ribbon for all of the different windows, it'll fall under the data tool tab or under the data window tab. But you won't have it with just a regular version of Excel. You have to download it. And so if you go to the File tab where I'm at here, you scroll all the way down the left banner to Options and open Options. And then you move, this window will pop up. And under this banner over here called Add-ins, if you click on that, double click on it, hello, wake up. There's all these different add-ins for Excel that are free. And so what you want is the analysis tool pack.
Okay.
And then you highlight that with your cursor and then click go. And then when this little box pops up, you just want to click the tool pack and click OK. It will download it for you. And then when you go to your data tab, this data analysis option will show up on the ribbon. So I will send you directions on how to do that in case you didn't catch all that, or you go to do it later and you forget. So once you have that data analysis tab, it's super sweet. You just open it up, and then there is all sorts of different ways to analyze data. So what you want to do for this particular set of data that you have is you want to t-test paired to sample for means. Basically, this is a test where you have pre-test data and post-test data. It has a calculation for the estimating the observed t-score and conducting the test in a way that when people take a pre-test and a post-test, a lot of the variation is held within person. And so the pre-test scores really also are highly related to the post-test scores. And so what we hope is that the intervention in between helped them out. But ultimately, we also have to control for the lack of independence between the pre-test and the post-test. And this is a special test that does that. So make sure you use the t-test paired to sample for means. You'll highlight that and click OK. And then this box will pop up. And it's going to ask you for some input. It wants to know where the data lives. So you're going to tell it, I just want the pre-test. You're going to highlight those scores. Make sure you get all of them in there. And go to, that's under the variable 1 range. And then for the variable 2 range, you're going to tell Excel that I want to highlight the post-test scores for the second variable. Because you're really comparing the average across the years between all of these months, between pre-test and post-test discharge. So the next thing you need to do is click this box labels. So that tells Excel that the labels are in the first row, and it's not going to try to calculate them as a number. And then this bit down here is just asking you where you want your output dumped, and you can just have it dumped on a new worksheet. And so then I click OK. And then it will basically, if you look down at the bottom, it'll open up a whole new sheet. So your data is still on sheet 1, but it'll open up a sheet 2 automatically. Let's just expand this out a little bit here so we can look at it. Okay, so here we have our pretest for all 12 months. The average pretest score was an 11.755. So under these mock data that I just made up, the score, the average score across the 12 months is 11.76 if I round up. And the post-test discharge score average for the 12 months is 10.23. These data here are the amount of variation in the scores. In other words, that's the average amount across the 12 months that the data varies around the average score. Some months are more, some months are less. This is a number that represents the average variance. And then this is the same for the post-test. Here's the number of observations for each month. It's a good thing to get 12. It's a good way to check, make sure your data is correct. Here's the correlation between the 2 months scores. It's a 0.47. That means almost 50% of the scores co-vary. They're very closely related, which makes a lot of sense, but these are made up data, so it doesn't really matter. And then what you really want to do for the significance test reading is this right here. This is the probability that the T observed, which is the large T, is smaller than the T crit, which estimates that we have a significant difference between pre and post test scores. In other words, if we put the scores into context, the lower score at post test is a significant, statistically significant change. And we judge that at a probability value of less than 0.05. I'm sure you've heard this maybe before. And so this is 0.04. And so what that statistical result turns out to be is that, just as I mentioned before, the post-test score of 10.23 average across the 12 months of 2018 was significantly lower than the pre-test score average at 11.76 for the 12 months pre-test admittance scores. So there's, one way from a program's perspective to look at this is that under these mock data, there's a significant reduction in the count of symptoms at post-test discharge. Okay? Does that all make sense okay to you, or you have questions on what I just kind of walked through?
I'm sure I won't remember it later, but it makes sense now.
Yeah, I think the direction sent will be good.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
what I'll do is I'll send you a Word document. Let me pull this
Okay.
up real quick so I can also share the screen with you. I'll send it to you after we're done here.
And this is recording too, so we can go back and rewatch
Oh, awesome.
it.
Okay, good deal. Can you see a Word document now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so this just walk you through, open Excel, click on the File tab, go to the options on the left banner, click the add-ins, go to the Analysis Tool Pack, click Go. A new box will pop up, click on the Analysis Tool Pack, it'll download, and then I'll walk you through the t-test here. So that gives you the steps to run the actual t-test. So just I think the important thing is for this t-test to really work is that when you set up your Excel data, whoops, wait a second. Can you see my Excel sheet by chance?
Yep.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
The important thing is that when you set up your Excel sheet, is that you get the pre-test in a column and the post-test in a column. If you do them across the rows, Excel won't know how to read that. So they have to be in a column format. So that's the biggest important thing. Okay. I'll send you those directions. And then let's look at your second question was evaluation question was. Oh, go ahead.
Were you educated on medication management?
Were you educated on medication so there's a little bit of a challenge with answering that question with only one time point, because to suggest that you're better educated requires you to have a pre-test measure of their education or their awareness of their medication, right? So you can compare the two numbers.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean we can't do anything interesting with the information you have. Let me pull it up really quick. So let's see, client satisfaction. What are the yellow highlighted boxes for July, August, and September for?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's just how she sent it to me.
Okay. Huh. So basically, these cells here on your data set, does everybody have the sheet in front of them by chance? I'll just throw it up here.
Yes.
So the cells on the data set, so for example, on medication management, this is just counts of individuals that were released. So we can see there were 27 persons that completed discharge survey. And looks like they had 24 clients discharged during the month. 27 completed the survey, huh? Wonder why that's kind of interesting. Why is that? Why do you think that's different, Shelley?
I can tell you. So I actually helped open this program 5 years ago, and then I switched jobs. So I went back to get this data because I knew I'd understand it. So
Good strategy.
the discharge survey is completely voluntary. So they do it at discharge. So and they do it anonymously. So they don't have to do it if they don't want to. So I'm going to guess for whatever reason, those people just decided not to do it.
All right.
And they don't ask why. So
here's an interesting way to think about this. So it looks like you've got some small amount of variation in the median length of stay across these months. And so here's what you could do. You could look at, let me think. I think you can look at the percentage of individuals at discharge that answer yes, that they're educated on medication management, and see if it's correlated with the median length of stay, with the idea being that if individuals stayed longer, they ought to leave with some more education on their medication management. Does that make sense? Or maybe I don't know.
No, that's an interesting point, because after the so recently, probably about 6 months or so, initially so this was grant funded. It's still grant funded, but they are now they're billing some Medicaid services as well, because they've been open about 4 years now. But initially it was completely grant funded, and the grant stated that the length of stay had to be 3 to 5 days. But now that some private insurances are paying for it, they have extended the length of stay. Okay, so some people are staying longer. So she may have some data of people staying longer that's more recent. So I don't know, do you think it would be worth getting some more recent data of if the length of stay is longer and comparing that, or is it too late to do that?
I mean, let's work with what you got here.
Okay.
First. See.
But that you make an interesting point, because I wonder if that really is something, because we do medication management when they're 3 to 5 days. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, really, you're just getting them out of a crisis.
Let's see here. Okay, so can you see my Excel sheet?
No.
No.
You can't. I don't know how to. I'm kind of new to Zoom, so I'm figuring it out. Okay, so what you need to do. Let me see here. I'm thinking this through, but I think it's totally doable. What do you look? What? Tell me what you're looking at now.
An Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Excel. Okay.
Yep, and there's some. Is that the length of stay up there, maybe?
So these are the length of stay. So length of stay, and then this is meds. Yes, this is meds. No, and then these are the totals. Now, so here's, let's see, let me say this. Again, let's see. So in order to run a correlation, which is also pretty easy, it can be done with the tool pack. The data just have to be organized again. A really quick command to do this here. I've forgotten it. Okay, so anyway, this is, oh wait, so this is actually, that's not January, it's July. Is the first one July?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, July, August, September. These things have to, again, they have to be placed in columns. So we'll just come down here and basically transpose these data. There's totally a faster way to do this, folks. So we're just going to hack our way through it. Okay, so this is length of stay. And then what we need to do is create a ratio. So we want to know the proportion of people each month that left the program feeling like they had more information about their medication. So in this case, it's just math, man. 27 people, 25 left. There were 27 people total. So that's 93%. So Okay. Actually, that's the better way to do it. I didn't do that right. Oh, I know what. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I know. It's good to see you guys see your professor flub around with this stuff. Okay, so let's see. This divided by that. There we go. But I think I can just do that. Nope, I didn't like that. Okay. Equals this divided by, oh, that, which is going to equal 0, 1, but is, I don't know why these couple two didn't fill in. And these are not right either. They're supposed to be ratios. So I think all these might be wrong for some strange reason. Sometimes when I copy paste things into Excel, they don't come over quite right. So February 12 divided by. I will send this to you so you guys don't have to do all this jazz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to make sure that you know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm basically just creating a ratio of the proportion of people who left each month feeling like they are answering yes, that they knew more about their medication regimen due to their stay. But there's not a great, we'll see what happens here. And then if we go to the data analysis tool pack, correlation. Let's give it a run and see what happens. Length of stay and then meds. So basically, this is telling us that there is the correlation is a 0.56. That's a fairly strong correlation. Usually anything over about a 0.40 indicates a relationship between two variables. And so look back at these data. There's a correlation. I wonder how I can get a significance value for a correlation in Excel. Let me look here really quick. There's a way for me to do it. I'll have to look into it, and I think. Let me look into it, and I think I can get you there's a way to calculate a significance value on whether this correlation of 0.56 is significant or not. Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to try something different, a regression model. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so a regression model is just a fancier correlational model. And you just really want to know if the length of stay predicts increased proportions of people who say, yes, I know more about my medication range at discharge. So I think that the Y in a regression model is the outcome. That's the thing you want to predict. And the X is your predictor, and that would be the length of stay. So length of stay would be predicting increased knowledge about my medication.
Okay.
Oh, what happened? Did it go away?
Well,
Select our study and all the values there.
Oh, sorry. That's a video I have, a YouTube video that I had just popping up. Oh, here it is. That's weird. That's my 2-year-old.
that was a real cry. That wasn't even a fake one.
Yeah, it was put me down. Don't touch me. I've never run a regression, so we're just going to see what happens. Oh, wow. That's a lot of information. Okay. So here, you can see this figure here. This little line plot here, dot plot. So this is the correlation. It's a small, modest correlation, but basically what this is saying is that there is an increase percentage of people at discharge that know about their medications the longer that they actually stay, okay? It's a small increase, but, and then the regression model results so here at the top, this multiple R and R squared is a statistic that says that 31% of the proportion in the variation of individuals at discharge knowing more about their medications is explained by the predictor or the length of stay, okay? So 31% of the difference is attributed to the length of stay. 31% of the variance, or how different all the scores are for the knowledge of increase in medication use at discharge. So all those scores have a distribution, or they're different, right? But 31% of their difference is explained by how long they stay, and that's a good thing. And then this down here is ultimately what you're interested in, which is the ANOVA, or the significance value, which tests the relationship or the strength of the relationship between the length of stay and the and knowledge at discharge about medicine. And it is It is significant at a 0.05. If I rounded that up, it'd be a 0.06, and it just missed that cutoff. So it's right there on the cutoff. So it's something definitely that I think that you should look more at. But here, just with these data, it suggests that in 2018, there was a significant correlation, and that length of stay predicts knowledge of medication regimen at discharge. Does that make sense in the way I'm explaining it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dude, that's cool. So how do you feel about that?
Confused, but
Are
I
you?
think I'll have to go back and like, I get what you're doing, but like, I would say it's, I see where that's a big difference, but I think I'll have to rewatch the video again a couple times.
And there are other resources out there to that will restate what I've kind of shown you here. And what I'll do, so I have the directions on for you on. I want you guys to do it. Those things. I will save this in case you're having some trouble. But I really want you guys to be able to do this just for pedagogical purposes, be able to kind of practice it. So what I'll do when I hang up here is I'll also write down the steps for the regression model. And I'd like you to walk through it, but I will just go ahead and send you what I've done so you have it, so that you can compare. So please, academic integrity here, practice the steps of doing this on your own. And then I'll highlight the cells that you need to interpret, and I'll put some notes in it. But if you practice it, you'll at least be able to compare and see if you got the same results that I send back to you all. Does that sound fair enough?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And then I think for your final project 5, it's basically just your presentation, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest part we were struggling with, is all the rest of it, we knew what we needed to do because it's explaining the program and all of that, but then weren't really sure what to report for the data. So that helps. If we get this done, we can plug this in and we can report that kind of data. So
So your first question, your first research question, does symptoms reduce? The answer is yes. And then you report the significance of the t-test that we ran here, the two-tailed t-test. And I'll highlight that output that you need to report. If you just take a quick note, when you report this information, you want to report for the t-test, the first question, just comparing the symptoms count on the PHQ. You'll want to report the pretest average and the variance.
okay.
So that gives your when you're reporting this information, that tells folks like what was the average score and how much did the scores vary around the average. And then you want to report the post-test scores and the variance. And then you want to say that there was a significant difference using a two-tailed t-test. And then you report just basically your p-value, okay?
Okay.
And I'll highlight the mean, the variance, and the p value scores. And then, I mean, you can put that on a slide and kind of talk through that, like what that means. And anybody want to try to take a stab at telling me what it means? It's pretty straightforward.
Hesitant.
Not on the spot. I could write, I mean, I'm sure we could write something up and script it out, but not on the spot.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay, no problem. It means that people's scores at post-test are significantly less. They're reporting fewer symptoms.
Yeah.
Which is what you would hope. Okay. What other questions do you have on what you need to do anyway?
So my computer cut out at least at the beginning of you showing us the two-tailed t-test. Is that just the test that we're running for hypothesis 1, and then the regression is what we're running for hypothesis 2?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, the t-test it's the paired t-test, and so that's what you're running for your first research question and hypothesis.
Okay.
So your research question was, will symptoms reduce from at discharge compared to pre-test? That's your research question. Your hypothesis is, yes, people who stay their symptoms will reduce. You confirm your hypothesis through the t-test results. The second question is going to need to change because we weren't able, I think your question was, do they have better knowledge of medication management upon discharge? But since you only have one measure point, we took a little different slant on that. And so your research question really needs to be reframed to say, does the length of stay predict percentage of discharges that report they have increased knowledge about their medication regimen?
Okay.
So I'll say that again. Your second question needs to be rephrased to say, does the length of stay predict increased percentages of discharges that say they have increased knowledge of medication usage or medication regimen, or however you phrase it? And so the first t-test, you will all, I just made up those data.
Yeah.
So you'll have to make sure you read in your data, the real data properly. But you want me to send you the example data that I did here?
Yeah.
That to you? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the example data that I mocked up, and you'll just need to re-enter the real numbers and then run the test. And I'll send you the directions on how to do that in a Word doc. And then I will send you this regression output, but I definitely would love for y'all to just try to do this on your own. It's pretty straightforward. You just got to set your data up. Here we go. You just got to set your data up in the columns like this. After you get the data analysis tool pack downloaded, you'll go to the regression. You'll enter the parameters. Remember that the Y variable is your outcome, and the X variable is your predictor.
Okay.
So you have to put the column for the meds, yes, increased proportion, into the input range for the Y value. And then the X is just the length of stay, average length of stay. So, whoops, I screwed it over. And then after you get that in, you want to click the labels box. You're going to get confidence intervals. You can ask for all this stuff if you want. It's not necessary for you. Let's get a line. Line fit to plot. Okay. And here we go. So let's see here, trend line. Watch this. Boom. Yeah, that's why. Okay. So this is the average amount of change. Do you see that? The line that I just put in there? For the length of stay, this is the increase. That's the slope of the increase. So the longer people are staying, this is how much their knowledge is increasing. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
So I'll send you the regression output. Just remember you got to redo the t-test numbers and run through those steps. And everybody try to do the regression. I think it's good data. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm a lot older than a lot of everybody else here, but as much as I don't like data, I mean, working in the work field, everything is so much, even though we're social worky and it really is run by data. Like even if I want to get something new, like a new piece of equipment, or I want to try something new, I have to do a return on investment in order to convince somebody that I need to get it. You know what I mean? So like knowing how to do Excel, knowing how to work with the numbers is important, as much as I really do hate everything about it. So it is important to learn.
Well, you know, there's a reason that people go into social work, and it's generally more of a human right side of the brain sort of thing. But you can develop these skills. You just have to practice them and be willing to fail and fumble a little bit. I was not a data person until I got the right kind of training and practiced it over and over and over again. And now I love it. So I think what you've got here is really cool. So you got a story to tell.
Well, and you have to, I mean, like this was grant funded for so many years, and it still is partially grant funded. And, you know, we had to report every year to get our money. So it was so important to know what to report. So, yeah.
It is. Okay.
The other question that we had was about the video, like the presentation itself. So it's the PowerPoint itself. Like, I think that's fine. But then there's a actual video, like not video, but voice over.
Voiceover, yeah,
Okay.
voice recording. So I think, and you got directions on how to do that from Toby.
And is it just a summary of what the slide says, basically?
Yeah, just a summary. Really just need to summarize your project and your outcome here, or your analyses. I don't think it needs to be anything like super in-depth. Just the basics, just the facts.
And should it be all of us voicing it, or can we choose one person to do it, or does it matter?
You know, I don't think it matters. I think however you all want to break up your workload. You know, I work in groups all the time, and I have something that I do well, and that's my piece for everybody else. So I think I trust you guys. Whatever you want to do to break up your workload, as long as it's equitable and fair.
Okay.
I'm happy with however you turn it in. If one person voices it over, somebody else does the slides, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Okay.
And then are there any examples from previous years that we can look at, or is that forbidden, or?
I don't have examples from previous years. When I used to teach this class, I did it in an ITV format, which is way different from what it is now. And students were right in front of me, kind of like we are now, and we did the presentations that way. So I don't have kind of what you're talking about. I think you could really literally do a slide per paper, per project or phase of the project, right?
Oh, right.
And then you'd have your outcome or your results slide.
Okay.
And then maybe one more slide that might be a discussion, like this would be next steps, or this would be practice recommendations from the data analyses. This would be, like, for example, with this, I mean, we should look at, there's policy implications for this. There's practice implications for length of stay being predictive of knowledge about medication usage. So I mean, that's where you get to put on your thinking cap and your practitioner thinking cap and say, well, what does this really mean in the real world? So,
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing cost benefit ratios, there's a cost, there's a benefit to people knowing how to use their medications if they have a longer stay.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the game has kind of changed. When we were grant funded, we kind of got to make that decision ourselves. I say our, like I'm still there. I don't work there anymore still, but I was the program manager. So, but now some of them are still grant funded, but some of them are billed by insurance. And so now they're kind of at the constraints of they stay as many days as the insurance says they can stay. So yeah, so the game's kind of changed. The outcomes are different now as opposed to when it was purely grant funded, when we could just decide how long they needed to stay based on their clinical assessment. But
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is there anything else? Any other questions about the final product, the presentation, the analyses that you're going to run?
So far, no for me. I think you've cleared up a lot of confusion as far as how we go forward with the with the presentation and getting it together.
Okay, so this was helpful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. Okay,
Yeah, we were really stuck on the data part. So yeah, this was
Yeah.
helpful.
That's super helpful.
okay. So here, when I get off of here, I'll check my Word document, make sure it's accurate. I will save this Excel sheet and I will send both of those things to you. And if you run into trouble, one or any of you, all of you, can shoot me an email. Even if you're working on it next week and we're off, I mean, if you need to ask me a question, please do. And then the due date for your final assignment is the 6th, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
You want to plan to check in on the 4th?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 5:30, and if you have any lingering issues up to the deadline, we can address them then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
At 5:30, right? Not 7. Okay.
That works.
Yep, 5:30 works.
Sorry about that. I don't know how I got it wrong. But,
That's okay.
That's
I can't
okay.
imagine. I'm sure you've got lots of people you're trying to fit in.
well,
Yeah.
that's okay. I enjoy it. Okay. All right. Well, that's the plan then. I'll shoot that to you here in a little bit, and you guys just do a little work on each of you. I encourage you just to play around with it and try to see if you can run the analyses yourself. If you have trouble with the interpretation, we can talk about it on the 4th. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds
All
great.
right.
How much?
Thank
right,
you
you
so
bet.
much.
Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Yep, you too.
You
Bye.
too.
Thank you.
All right. I think when we get off this recording, we'll convert on my computer since I'm the host. And so I'll convert it and then I can send it to you guys if you want to rewatch it.
That
So-
would be excellent.
Yeah.
I think what he said would made a lot of sense. It just
I won't
it
remember
was just so
later.
quick, and I won't remember it.
I'm pretty familiar with Excel as far as like inputting the data, but I'm not good at putting in the ratios to compute the data.
Mhm.
Like I can
I've
make the
worked with
spreadsheet.
Excel, but I'm just not that not familiar enough not to have some kind of a guide to go with me.
Yeah. I mean, like
I
I
kind
can,
of missed it. Is it like a specific Excel program, or can it just be done in Excel?
yes, it's Excel and then you have to go download a specific part of Excel, but he explains that in the video as well of how to
Yeah.
do that.
It's like an add-on or
With
something.
an add-on, yeah. So, all right. I might get to this stuff this weekend, but it'll probably be next week. But I'll at least try to get the PowerPoint opened so you guys can get to it this weekend if you want to. And I'll
Awesome.
do this.
Great.
Yeah, but I probably won't get to my part till next week. But and then I'll get this video converted and sent to you over the weekend too, if not before.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like it's a
Thank you.
lot clearer, so I think
Yeah,
we're on the right track.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woohoo. All right.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.